Let's dive into all of this right now. Hey, it's Saturday night. Salute to you all. Are you ready? Are you ready for the market value chart show live? I'm right with you there, Don. Before I could say any more.
Exactly. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So listen, I am the Dark Jedi, Aries Tarrington, and I'll be serving up all the Star Wars Hot Toys talk, along with some panel members in here today. First, we've got Don Prime from Geekin Out. Don, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. Just a Saturday, cleaning, modding, creating, and just, as I showed you before, just a little tidbit. I figured, why not make a pauldron for the Coruscant Guard, and it'll especially look good either next to Hunter or to possibly Tarkin when he's coming out the shuttle doors, so.
Look at that, everybody. I mean, that's something that you could spill your coffee over right off the bat.
Yeah, so.
So, Don, you painted that yourself, my friend?
Yep, it's a 3D print clone grease style pauldron off Shapeways. And as I showed you before, I have also done, normal Stormtrooper style pauldrons and put capes on them. So,
That's awesome.
And I'll be honest, they're not that difficult once you know how to do it. It's more about learning, just taking the time, making sure you sand stuff and you prep it before you paint it. And again, it's more about learning it than it is actually doing it. So don't worry about, failing. For every one attempt you make, you're going to have 95 fails. That's how it works.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's a lot of fun. We got 51 in here already, Don. And look, I'm trying to flash. Nice. Doc Smizel's in the house. Hi, Doc. We got 808 Michigan Jedi. The Big Daddy 64 is in here. Ricardo, the Collector. Eric, my God, look at everybody that's in here tonight. Negan's in the house. What's going on, Negan? Lane Kramer. Lane Kramer is here. Lane, you got some. Listen, he said he's got some dinner here soon, though. Listen, you need to wash that down with some coffee, baby.
Like I said, coffee stunts my growth. I mean, even in my time, I never drank coffee. Just don't know why.
And we've got Kiko in the house. And cheers
Hello,
to you
I am
too,
back.
JB Collection. And Kiko's one of our panel members here today as well. He was with us before. Looks like you got your technical difficulties worked out there, Kiko. And we are excited to have Kiko Collects with us on the panel here today. Kiko, how's it going?
Mm-hmm. It's going good. I apologize about that. Didn't have much signal, so I ran back up here where there's Wi-Fi, so hopefully everybody can hear me. But we have a lot of good stuff to talk about, for sure.
For sure. It's really good to have you up in here. And if you all are not there familiar with Kiko, I've got the link within the video description below. He puts out some great Hot Toys videos. Been watching him for a while, so it's a real pleasure to have him here in the Cantina with us. And also Don Prime, I got Geeking Out, him and Nate, and you're out of your mind, baby. And,
exactly.
I've got the link today in there for in the video description as well. And we'll have Denobi be joining us here a little bit later or shortly on the show. So we certainly look forward to that as well. So hello, everybody, and welcome to the Market Value Chart Show live on a Saturday night. Don, I feel like it's been a long time since I've been on a Saturday night. And I know for the summer, I've been doing some Friday shows, and I do Live and Raw sometimes on Sunday or for a special figure during the week. But there were so many thunderstorms in my area of the country yesterday that my power was out all night the night before, and it kept going in and out. So here I am tonight on a Saturday night, my friend.
Hey, I mean, it's one of those things, like Nate and I, like you were saying too, we were planning on doing some videos, and just work schedule just we both had to work a hell of a lot this past week, so we're hoping to film a few more in addition to our streams on, Sunday and Wednesday nights. Once in a while we'll throw, a special stream like Thursday, and again we'll have guests on like Lane Kramer actually joined us on the last stream, so that was very nice, and so we'll have fans, jump in and join the discussion with us as well. So.
We'll have to have Lane on. Lane could be like. Did Lane look like the Hot Toys wizard? Because I'm looking for someone to impersonate the Hot Toys wizard, Don. The Hot Toys wizard, just so you all know, the Hot Toys wizard morphs into someone different. It could be, he could look like Tinkerbell one day, and then all of a sudden, just look like the Emperor the next day. You never know what the Hot Toys wizard
exactly
is going to look like. But listen, we're going to start this off here. And let's get into some market stuff, because there's some very interesting trends going on within the secondary market for Star Wars Hot Toys. Now, I have pulled up over here 6scalecantina.com, and I'm going to go to the market value chart. And for a lot of you that are in there watching, if you don't have 6scalecantina.com bookmarked, you may want to consider doing so if you're into Star Wars Hot Toys. Not only do you get the latest news on everything Star Wars Hot Toys, what's coming out, what's on pre-order, what's going on waitlist, so on and so forth, but you get all the secondary market prices, and not only what they're going for, but the current trends. But when you go, gentlemen, to the market value chart and hit on the current value column a couple times, you get the highest ranked figures to the lowest ranked figures. And one figure I want to start off talking about, and Kiko, we'll go to you first with this, but let me set the table here. You got Anakin Darkside, which is $805 and steady, and I highlighted that on the screen. And when you go to Anakin Revenge of the Sith non-Darkside, $615 and steady. And when you go look at current listings, for this particular figure, with everything that's been coming out, and I mean, there's been a lot of Star Wars Hot Toys coming out, a lot of Star Wars Hot Toys coming up on pre-order. There's a plethora of Star Wars Hot Toys and Hot Toys that you can get within the secondary market. But, even when you pull up everything, Anakin Hot Toys, and you see these prices, I mean, continually, you get Darkside Anakin, it averages $800, sometimes selling in the 700s, sometimes selling in the 900s, sometimes selling within the thousands. And the Anakin Skywalker, like I said, $615. So it's a very, very, very highly sought after figure. And the thing that's interesting to me about this, Kika, is when you look at this particular figure here, you would think that this figure would have some type of effect. Now, mind you, this is the same exact head sculpt as those other two figures, and quite frankly, a very nice looking figure, and at a price point of like $260 without the staff. That can be a way to be able to get an Anakin in your collection that is far more affordable than $600, $800, $900, or $1,000. So you have to wonder, Kiko, why is this particular Clone Wars version of Anakin having seemingly zero effect on the other two Anakins within the secondary market? What say you?
I think there's two things to consider here. First of all, the first and easiest one is that there is no companion General Kenobi. I think because there is no Kenobi, there is no desire to really pull the trigger on this one just yet. We also don't have this figure in hand yet. So you know how it goes. Once something eventually comes out, then the hype does pick back up. But I think the main thing with this as to why it's not bringing down the prices, if anything, causing more prices to go up, is that this is not a look that is, I guess, familiarized by the average Star Wars fan. Mm-hmm. As much as we love the Clone Wars, it's still not a widely watched show, and so you see Anakin in this outfit here. That is not the masses that people saw in Revenge of the Sith. So I think just the simple haircut, the simple outfit that's not familiar, when it comes down to it, people want the classics. They want the things that they have seen on the silver screen. And I think until this is in hand, we'll not see this figure really take off. But I think it's because of the actual image and what it looks like. And this is not your traditional Anakin Skywalker.
No, Kiko, you bring up a good point with that, in the fact that, maybe, Don, that's having some effect. What is your opinion on that? He brings up a great point that it's, for some people, maybe it's like, oh, I really enjoyed, Revenge of the Sith. And this doesn't have the look exactly of the way he looked, or even, in the other two films. Is that playing a part in this in some aspect?
It is, but it may potentially backfire, though, especially with Kenobi coming out, because it's already been confirmed there'll be massive flashback scenes to actually fighting in the Clone Wars. So if we're actually going to see Kenobi and Anakin in their Clone Wars cartoon armor live action, it's going to be in the flashbacks. So who knows? We could see him on live action like this, because Hayden Christensen is back. So I mean, who's to say we don't see this is what his version is in the show, and then all of a sudden this, because of low production numbers, becomes a $500-600 figure in 3 months. So
yeah, that's interesting. And Kiko, going back to you on this particular here, we have 72 watching already. Please go ahead and hit that like button. We so appreciate your support. And it's great to have Kiko Collects in the house. His video channel is in the video description below. So is Geekin Out, and Don Prime here from Geekin Out. So don't forget to subscribe to both Geekin Out and Kiko Collects for sure. But Kiko, going back to you, I thought it was very interesting by Hot Toys, actually, with this Clone Wars image, that they actually went with the actual actors, Hayden Christensen and his likeness, a more live action likeness than they did how Sideshow, if you notice, how Sideshow is going at this now, Kiko. They're going strictly with like the cartoon or the animated look. Is that also, in your opinion, maybe affecting this in some way? You're saying it's unfamiliar, it's not for some people unfamiliar anyway, not the look from Revenge of the Sith, and also with the fact is, okay, it's familiar from the Clone Wars, but it doesn't look like him in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it's a peculiar product idea that they came up with when we first got the tease for the Clone Wars, and they said, hey, we're going to have Rex, we're going to have now Anakin, we're going to have Obi-Wan. No one really knew what they were going to look like because it's just a tease, of like the armor. And then they finally showed that, Rex gets a real head sculpt. Anakin gets a real head sculpt, which is peculiar because they have done with the Marvel side of things, Into the Spider-Verse figures that were animated, as well as just the What If figures that are coming out now that are animated and stylized. I think possibly it's a licensing thing to where they won't allow them to, make an animated version with the Hot Toys license. I don't know. I'm just speculating there. But it is a peculiar choice because we know Hot Toys will do stylized figures based on certain product lines.
Yeah, it is a separate license. Sideshow, they actually were given full access by Lucasfilm to the master files of all the Clone War animation. So it is definitely a separate license. There, an animated, because this is specifically for the animated Clone Wars line, whereas Hot Toys, they're doing it under that line, but in a real likeness. So, and then, yeah, there's lots of other issues with licensing, like the fact that, the original Sideshow clones, the armor was actually made by Hot Toys.
Yeah, so. And Don, staying with you here and pulling this up, the thing that's very interesting to me, when you have figures that are, you have the regular Anakin Skywalker trending $615 on the market value chart at 6scale, Cantina.com. You have the Darkside Anakin, which is steady right now at $805 or so within the market value chart. And then, pulling up this listing here without the stat, $260, Don, for this particular figure to me. And when I look at this, I'm like, this could really fill in the gap, especially for those, not necessarily for the Darkside Anakin. But do you think that, with this price point and with final production photos and people seeing the reviews, at least for the non-Darkside version, do you suspect to see a little bit of a bump downwards for the regular Anakin in the secondary market with the final
No.
production photos? No.
No, because it's still when it's all said and done, like, because a lot of people are saying, I don't think there's going to be any reissues as well. You might get a different version potentially out of a flashback or a dream sequence, but but the Revenge of the Sith, both the normal and the dark side, those are the OG ones. Those are what you need to if you want to put together a Revenge of the Sith display, or you want to put 501st clone troopers next to Anakin. Again, you need either version, because even when he was walking up, his eyes hadn't turned yet. So,
well, and pulling this up here on the screen, let me go to the other screen. So the Big Daddy 64 with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, the Big Daddy 64. Much appreciate that support, my friend. I want to see a Hayden Vader, maybe from the Obi-Wan series. Listen, the Big Daddy 64, Kiko and Don, they're trying to get me to spill my coffee, baby. Because whenever I hear something like that, a Hayden Vader. So we could kind of talk about that for a second. Thank you for the super chat. Kiko, I mean, in my view, with this here, they're coming out with the Obi-Wan series. They signed Hayden Christensen, Disney did, for that series. Is there actually any doubt that they're going to have a Darth Vader with Hayden Christensen version? What say you?
I really don't think that they will, in the sense that we've known it to be, because if you're going to have the Darth Vader version, kind of like what Rebels did when they cut the mask open, it's going to be the scarred, burnt version. So it's still not going to be the Anakin that we have. But I've been surprised before. So, I mean, I guess they can do something stylized or really take some risks. I'm really interested to see what it's actually going to be, because I think that's what people want to see. Is it going to be Anakin in the suit? Is it going to be a flashback? Who knows what it's going to end up being?
Yeah, or Don, you have a lot of inside information on some of these things.
All right.
Let me ask you this. With the Obi-Wan series, could there actually be an aspect of the series where actually in the live action of that time, not going back in time, not going forward in time, where he actually takes his helmet off and actually in some type of, whether it's through holograms or computer, he's actually talking in real time with the helmet off?
Well, again, this is all rumors and speculation and based on plot leaks and other things like that. So, one of the main premises of Kenobi is that he, at this point, does not know that the stormtroopers are regular people. They're clone troopers. And so he's in desolation, and so he's going through his thing. So part of the thing is he's going to have the flashbacks going back to the Clone Wars. In addition, it's heavily rumored it's either going to be like through the Veil of the Force, or maybe like a Force Nexus like Dagobah, where he will fight Vader. Again, it's going to be like in a metaphysical, like an astral plane battle. So that way they can fight again, but it doesn't break the canon from A New Hope when they were talking about we meet again. So it counts as a battle, but not really, but it doesn't break canon. So they're trying to find a way where it works with the stuff established already, possibly with Rebels, but it doesn't break A New Hope canon. So.
Very, 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 very interesting. I mean, I am so pumped up for this in particular series. And Don, when is I just Kiko, there you are, because you're kind of your video's freezing. I was able to hear you, but just so you know, Kiko. But Don, I mean, I'm really interested to can't wait to see this show. When is this supposed to air?
I think next year. I'll be honest, I would not be surprised if we see a potential trailer maybe at Comic-Con for New York, because New York Comic-Con, they're usually more TV heavy. Again, example, I went in 2019. They went hard and heavy on Amazon's Rocinante, The Expanse. They went hard and they built a model of The Expanse, like the galley. And stuff like that. So, if anything, I could potentially see Lucasfilm be going there and, previewing a trailer, that Friday or Saturday at Comic-Con.
Well, and also in addition to that, Kiko, is it possible that maybe at the end of the Book of Boba Fett, after the credits roll, that we actually get some type of, like they did at the end of the Mandalorian season 2, and as they do so much with the Marvel movies, actually get something going on from the Obi-Wan series to kind of tease that.
I would certainly hope so, and would love to see that if possible. I know that that's kind of a new thing that they did, and I think a lot of people didn't even realize that that was at the end of The Mandalorian, because everyone was so hyped to see, Luke, and everyone just like ran to go call everybody, and that they missed that last scene after the credits. But I think that if that was to be put there, that would make the most sense. I think I started to see something myself that some people have started to wrap filming it for their roles. So if they want to capitalize on hype, then that is certainly the time to do it.
Well, listen, we have 96 in here now, so go ahead and please hit that like button. Thank you so much for watching the Market Value Chart Show live. And for those of you just coming in now, in case you don't know, I am the Dark Jedi, Aries Tarrington, serving up all the Star Wars Hot Toys talk, along with Kiko Collects, special guest in here, and also Don Prime from Geekin Out. Don't forget to subscribe to both of those guys' channels. I have the links to their channels within the video description below. And don't forget to subscribe to 6 Scale Cantina as well. We so appreciate that you're here. So yes, thank you so much, the Big Daddy. You got me going. You got me going with the coffee, baby, with the Vader Hayden thing. I can't wait to see exactly what they do for sure.
Well, I was just going to jump in one. So apparently, though, we are going to get Inquisitors, though, in Obi-Wan. I forget the guy's name. Han from Fast and Furious. I think he's supposed to like the 5th brother or the 7th brother.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I heard you talking about that before, too. I heard you talking about that before as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're going all out on this.
Well, you have to wonder, too, before we go on to the other thing, is it possible that could they be having Ian McDiarmid in this somehow? Do you expect to see that, Don?
At this point, the way that, especially Filoni with Bad Batch, he's integrating, audio from Revenge of the Sith, and as well as they're going into, like, Republic Commando, and they're pulling out specific audio sound waves. Like when the Bad Batch, they went and they were picked up, by the Commandos and the guy that looked like Scorch. Well, they intentionally went to the Republic Commando video game and pulled Scorch's blaster sounds so it would match up without flat out saying it's Scorch. So at this point, I do think if we don't physically see him, he probably will do some voice work. At least
that would be great. I would love to if they could go ahead and shock us. I mean, look, they gave us Kiko, they gave us Ahsoka Tano, they gave us Rosario Dawson in The Mandalorian. They gave us the mention of Grand Admiral Thrawn in The Mandalorian. They gave us Mark Hamill, with the CGI in the Mandalorian. They gave us Boba Fett, Tamora Morrison. Can we get Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor?
Oh, and they started casting for Sabine, for Ahsoka.
Oh yeah, you knew they were going to do that, right? Sabrine Wren, come on.
Exactly so.
Welcome to everybody who's in the house here. Go ahead, Kiko.
I was going to say, I think it would do justice for them to be able to share the screen with McGregor, McDiarmid, and Christensen again. I just think because they missed the opportunity for having Hamill, Ford, and Fisher together, they got to get those 3 together. Certainly.
Yeah. Oh, you mean they didn't get Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill together? I didn't know that.
Ironically, no. Last I've checked.
Yeah. Well, that's a completely different subject. 102 in the house. Hit that like button, baby. So listen, going back to here to secondary market, we're talking about Anakin. So, and I kind of agree. It's going to be very interesting once the final production photos come out of this Clone Wars Anakin, if it's going to have any effect within the secondary market with the other 2 Anakins. But you're seeing the adverse effect right now. Don, we're going to go to you first on the next figure that I'm going to bring up over here. So pulling this up onto the screen, let's actually go back to 6scalecantina.com. And let's go to the market value chart. Now, besides just clicking on that current value column arrow a couple times, you can also just type in the figures you're looking for. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in Shore, and look what comes on up. The Shoretrooper. And right up over here, and I'll highlight it on the screen, MMS 389, the original Shoretrooper from Rogue One, $507.99. and trending down. Now, while $507 is nothing to squawk at, because that's a very high price within the secondary market, this figure was going upwards close to $700 just a little bit ago. And very interestingly, Don, when they went ahead and they announced these Shoretroopers, the Mandalorian Shoretrooper, the Grunt, and also the squad leader in the Mandalorian, it literally had no effect on the Shoretrooper for literally like a few months. However,
longer than that, yeah.
It's longer than that. But when you go ahead now and you take a look at what's going on recently, and it's very interesting to me, the Shoretrooper is trending down considerably. You can look back from here, bringing up a couple things. Back from July 24th, $485 with 6 bids. Tremendous feedback, 100%. Free shipping. And that's a Shoretrooper for $485. We haven't seen that in a long time. I'm pulling up another one, Don. You can pull this up onto the screen. $465, not including shipping, 14 bids. Another great seller. So you have to wonder, is it possible, Don, that people are losing interest in the Shoretrooper, or is it more possible that there's something else going on over here? Obviously, people are spending buku bucks on Anakin. What's going on here? This is taking a dive.
All right. I think originally when, the other 2 versions were released, it was that initial, I can get the full, the trio of the different versions of the Shoretrooper. You can get the leader, you can get, the sergeant, and then you can get the grunt. And I think a lot of people, they had the idea that they were going to get all 3. And then as we're getting closer and, potentially people are going to realize, this might come out sooner, faster, because there's 2 versions of it, but essentially for a few paint applications and a comma, it's essentially the same figure. So people might be seeing, okay, do I really want to spend the extra money, or do I want to get, the leader that has the comma that potentially invokes, the look, a little bit of the clones. So, there is some aesthetic value, but I also do potentially think the closer the other 2 versions come to selling out, the original will re-increase in value, because, again, if you want to get all 3, he's still the essential, the one you're gonna need to find to complete them. And so I think he'll trend down a little bit for a little more for a little while, but then when these are out, he'll start to trend back up again to about the $500 level.
I kind of agree with that. We got 101 in here. Please go ahead and hit that like button. Like it's Popsicle saying, smash that like button, you coffee spillers out there. Kiko, let's get your opinion on this. You heard what Don said. It's very, very interesting. This is a figure that was going for buku bucks. And the interesting thing about this, I'll bring up, Kiko. The Death Trooper the Death Troopers from Rogue One are actually rising, even though you've got very readily and still at a very good secondary market price, the Death Trooper from The Mandalorian. But right now you're seeing the original squad, the Shoretrooper, go down. What's going on? What do you say about this? Kiko, I don't know if you heard me on that.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, sorry about that. I agree 100% with what was. I agree with what was said. Is that once these come out, then it will bring the price back up. What you were mentioning about the Death Troopers, I think that the reason those are going up is because that Mando Death Trooper is out, and so people have them in hand and they want to complete them. And I think that is the absolute evidence that shows that once the Shoretrooper pieces are out, then that'll push the commander back up. And kind of like what you had just said, it's going to be the one that's still the low stock number, and there's not as many of them out there. So it will go back up once demand actually does increase. And just to also say is that there's so many other things out there that, named characters and such, that people are possibly trying to budget on what is the most important for them. And if they are trying to, possibly sell pieces to fund the rest of their pre-orders, collections, whatever, that might be one they're trying to, move out sooner than later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Jake Barrett, we see you. I see your super chat, and we're going to get to that in just a second. Another coffee spiller question. But Don, going back to you here on the Shoretrooper, here's the squad leader And you also have the one from the Mandalorian, the Grunt, if you will, that's up for pre-order on there. So
Mhm.
I tend to agree, Don. I think that once. Do you think that this is once? I think actually once the final production photos come out and people start reviewing this, and people start actually seeing, okay, this is going to be coming out. You're probably going to see that one in the secondary market again. Again, as I pointed out, we're talking about high 400s. It's not exactly chump change, but
Exactly,
it
exactly.
wasn't going for as high as it was. Is it possible, Doc? Is it possible that because these are coming out, that one from Rogue One will actually go higher than it was before? And could it get back into the $600 tier range? Could it get into the $700 tier range?
Potentially, but then again, it all depends also on the numbers of what they're doing for the Mando and version, and then the Rogue One version. Because again, if they overestimate their value, and then they saw what this one's going for now, and then they double or even triple their estimated production, then they might sit for a while. The two ones that are coming out, and then the longer they sit, the more decrease, the more pull against the value this will have until those are gone. And then it's one of those things, once it's sold out, then it's going to reintroduce its value. But again, it all depends on how many Hot Toys actually makes, again, based on what they saw, what happened with this in the past. And even still, average 475 to 500 now. So,
And also
Well,
keep in mind, I think, that with these, troopers are the easiest thing to customize, and I think that does work against them potentially, having the number go back up. If people really do want to have all three but don't want to pay it, they'll find someone just like you, make a 3D print of, the pauldron or of the chest piece, paint it up, and there you go. Just get another grunt and swap it out. So I think that's the only thing that could affect the value potentially.
no, and that's a good point as well. We'll certainly have to keep an eye on it. And let's go ahead and pull up this super chat to try to get me to brew more coffee. Okay, we're going to be brewing some on table 5 for Popsick, because I know that for It's Popsick table 5, that's his favorite place in the cantina. Jake Barrett, is it possible we see Maul in the Kenobi TV show? So let me take this one first. When it comes to Filoni and Favreau, I say yes. It absolutely is. Look, they're not going to be bound to anybody who to any preconceived idea. As a matter of fact, Don, I'll start with you. It may be a missed opportunity if we don't see Maul in this series. What say you?
I think we're going to see Maul. I don't know if it's going to be more than a cameo or a potential name drop, but it's going to. They're also going to need to establish where he is at this point, because again, when we saw him in Solo, he's running freaking his own crime syndicate. So they've got to establish how he got that way. Especially because here's another thing too. Potentially, the Night of a Thousand Tears from Mando. Part of that might actually be shown during Kenobi. Again, that's another rumor for it. And so I don't know if that's going to tie back to, Duchess Satine and Obi-Wan's relationship. But there's just too many coincidental pieces out there for me to think it's more likely it's more unlikely he doesn't show up than more likely he does show up, if you know what I mean. I'm putting my money on he's, one way or another, he's going to be in the show.
Well, and I agree with that. And Kiko, going to you about Maul, if he could possibly in the Kenobi TV show. Look, Maul is money. I think that there is a reason why they actually had that character show up in the Solo movie. As a matter of fact, one of the original sequel ideas from George Lucas himself was to actually have Darth Maul be the baddie in the sequels. Along with an apprentice. So I can actually see, especially with Filoni and Favreau working with George Lucas again, perhaps, like Dot is saying, some type of cameo, some type of mention, or even some type of appearance. What say you?
I'm going to go against the grain here and vote no, that he will not show, because I think that they run the trouble of it being a bloated show potentially, and I think they want to avoid it being kind of a Joss Whedon Justice League where there's just all these awesome characters thrown in there with nothing to really do. So that's the one thing I think they need to be careful of, because they have some big name actors as well as some of the biggest characters ever in Anakin and Obi-Wan, and with the potential of, you know, a Cody or a Rex potentially being in there. If you add too many, I think you possibly bloat it and it could backfire. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very interesting point on that. We're certainly going to have to keep an eye on it for sure. And thank you so much, Jake Barrett, for that super chat. I so much appreciate it. And welcome to everybody that's watching the Market Value Chart Show live on a Saturday night, my friends. It's been so long since we've been here on a Saturday night. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to say one other thing too, as far as like the Kenobi and Obi-Wan show. So, and one other piece is apparently they're going to use that new morph CGI technology. You know, part of the reason why they hired that guy off YouTube. And one of the rumors is the very ending scene of Kenobi might actually do a Ewan McGregor, like they might do a CGI, like an actual morph shot where it's more, it's not Ewan McGregor so much, it's, God, I'm having a brain fart.
Alec Guinness?
Alec Guinness. So, again, if that happens as well, your Obi-Wan, that now, for whatever it's going now, that'll potentially go through the roof as well. So, and again, these are all just rumors, stuff coming out from other people. You can believe it or not, but again, they're going to try and ham it up as well for nostalgia purposes.
Wow, that's I mean, the thing, Kiko, going back to you, I understand what you're saying. How about in the Mandalorian season 2, where they gave us a plethora though of so many characters? Was that more though, where they had the plan? They have a plan for Ahsoka. They're obviously planning a series. So maybe if they were going to bring Maul in here, you know, Ahsoka's getting a series. They showed her. Boba Fett's getting a series. They showed him. You know, who knows what they're going to do with Luke and Grogu. So maybe if they do put Darth Maul in here, it's because there's going to be something. They're going to explain that whole story from the Solo movie. What say you on that?
And that's a fair point. The only thing I would say as a contrary devil's advocate, because I love doing that, is that Kenobi is supposed to be 4 episodes. Mandalorian was 8. So you have twice the runtime. And I'm not for sure how long, you know, the episode is supposed to be. I think they're supposed to be maybe an hour or so. But you're already up against the clock of trying to fit as much story and character development in, as well as your big characters, into that show. So the only thing, as you had said, at the end of the day, they love their money and they love to chase, you know, the dollars. So if they can make money off it, yes, they will tactfully do it. But at the expense of the story, that's the only thing I worry about. And just because there's only 4 episodes, and I don't know if they can use one episode or even just a segment of an episode just to tease. I think the name drop, as you had said, possibly is more likely than an actual appearance.
Well, speaking of, you know, bringing also up Luke from before there, let's actually pull this up onto the screen. And I'm just going to pull this up real quick. Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan is the GOAT. Yeah, you know, OG fan, I love Alec Guinness. He's absolutely awesome. So I hope we get some love for that for sure. Let me go ahead and pull this up onto the screen. So let's go ahead and talk about Luke here, because people have been asking me, gentlemen, for a while, is this Mandalorian Luke, is the Mandalorian Luke going to go ahead and have an effect on Luke Return of the Jedi in the secondary market? So certainly not having an effect on Luke A New Hope, which, you know, we'll go ahead and bring up in a minute. You know, Luke A New Hope, which I knew the prior argument, Kiko, was, oh, the Luke from Return of the Jedi is not such a great head sculpt, so it's going to tank once the Mandalorian one goes up. But I dare to say that if that one's not that great, the Luke A New Hope is worse. And I got them both. I actually love them both. But you got A New Hope Luke trending up. And it's been trending up. Of course, an original trilogy figure. And now you're starting to see right now the Luke Return of the Jedi Endor Deluxe showing signs of trending down. Not trending down hard, but trending down from the very high price where it was. Let me go to some information here. So I could pull this up onto the screen. And you could see with this particular auction, just going back from August 8th, $435 with 13 bids, which is nothing to squawk at. And this was the price that it was going at actually before he ever appeared, or we knew that he was going to show up in The Mandalorian season 2. This is a fabulous set. I actually have this set. And then you can pull this up over here as well. And you can see just back here from August 10th, $426 US, not including the near $24 in shipping. So are you surprised, Kiko, with the Luke Endor Deluxe? And I'm starting to see signs with the Luke Jedi Master as well, trending down a little bit since the Mandalorian version of Luke has been shockingly announced.
I'm not surprised in the least. I'm actually excited that you brought this figure up. I actually just picked up my version, or mine personal copy of that very figure, because I wanted the swooshed hair effect. I love that swooshed hair effect. It looks so good.
Yeah, I like it too.
But all that to say is that I know everyone wanted the black robe and the black tunic that he had in The Mandalorian, since it was a different look. And unless you're going to get a custom cape for this, then yeah, just kind of put it on the shelf and wait, 2 years, save $200 or so, and get the one you really want. And I know that the hype of are they going to, and the what if going back and forth was the big driving force. And now that it's been confirmed, I think this will come back down. But this is an amazing set just because of the looks that you get, and just for your Return of the Jedi moments. I mean, there's still just iconic moments to be able to create. And I think it's an incredible set.
No, I totally agree. And Don, going to you here, I have this set. I love this set. And look, everybody knows how much coffee I brewed over that Mandalorian, announcement of Luke Skywalker. I'm still rocking and reeling and over the moon about that particular release. But that release for me as a collector does not fit with the Emperor on the throne, and does not fit with Darth Vader. It's a more mature remembrance of me. I think that if they actually faced off with Luke the way he crushed those Dark Troopers, I think the Emperor would have had to pick up the lightsaber himself, baby, and try and go after Luke.
Yeah, I mean, Luke, as we see, he's the EU Legends Luke you grew up with. If you read the books, you played the video games. Hell, even Shadows of the Empire. The project that took place between Empire and Jedi. You start to see, again, in that, like, he's actually tapping in what he can really do. Now, on the flip side of that, I do think this is going to be the Star Wars version of the Mark 50. They're going to make so many of these. The Mando Lukes, both versions, of the DX, with and without the crushed Dark Trooper. So I ultimately don't think in the long run you're going to see much movement directly because of that figure, because it's going to sit for a while. They're going to overproduce it. And it's like, people won't want to hear it. It's going to be a shelf warmer. And it's probably going to be in the same production numbers as Mando. The deluxe Mando season 1, they made like 20,000 just for Sideshow, and that's not the normal version. So I'm thinking they may potentially put those numbers up or higher for Luke from the Mando.
That's an interesting perspective. And Kiko, I'm going to go to you with that. Is it possible though? Because I actually go on the other opinion than what Don has on this. I don't think with this Luke that they're actually. I mean, I think with the Mandalorian, with those Beskar versions of Mandalorian, it's the main character. They made way too many of them. I don't think they're going to do that on these other characters. They're not. I actually think it's not going to be as high. But, very interesting perspective. It could be if they start producing all these figures. If they take Boba Fett and the Throne and produce 40,000 of them for U.S. and Europe, and they take, the Armorer and do that, or they do this. I see them maybe with the main character doing that. I actually think that are probably, they may have made too many of those Beskar versions. It's going to be very interesting to see how long those sit in there and if they're going to go ahead and make those same orders again. But anyway, Don brings up a great point, though. All in all, I don't see this figure being affected when that one comes out on that point. Then we'll go to the other point, because I think it's too unique for Return of the Jedi. What say you?
The main point you made, saying that this does not fit with the Emperor, does not fit with Vader, I think that's the main point. And the only saving grace about this one is that it is a named figure that everyone can relate to. And when it comes down to it, it is a more affordable figure than the other ones. That will make it, but I love the comparison you made to the Mark 50. There definitely probably will be more of these than there will be of any of the Mando figure, the actual Mando figures. But it's going to be interesting to see, because I know they don't want to lose money either. So I guess we'll see.
Well, Sideshow's coming to get you.
Than the Return of the Jedi Lukes, right? Certainly way more than the Return of the Jedi one that we were just talking about, right, Don?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and other people are saying, if you're an OT hardcore, just like if you're Transformers, you're a G1er. If you're a hardcore OT, you are kind of, it's like, at this point, you either go for a New Hope Luke, which, again, is trending up, or you got to go for one of the Return of the Jedi versions. And again, this is supposed to be the more mature version in Mando, different uniform. And again, the hairstyle, again, we've talked about before, they've had to go back to what, the 70s and 80s when they were filming, so it looks in continuity with the hairstyle. But the uniform is different. And again, just visually, this is going to appeal more towards the new fans. Yeah, and I'll end up ordering it at one point, but I was going to order it, but Sideshow nerfed the coupon for it. So I'll wait a while, so I get more points. But that might be, one where it's displayed by itself in its own little case, because again, to me, that's EU Luke, that's Legends Luke, that's the Luke we were promised, but never got in the sequel trilogy.
Well, and you know what else, Donna? We're going to get into, the production of the other Lukes, because I have some interesting thoughts on that, and I like your interesting thoughts on that too. But look who's in the house. It's Brother Cousins. Cousins, what is going on, my friend?
What's up, Aries? Thank you once again for bringing me in.
It's great to have you
what's
here.
Up, man?
So everybody, if you don't know Brother Cousins, you got to check him out and subscribe to this man's channel. He's got a great vibe, just like the other two gentlemen in here. It's great to have you in the house. And we're talking about Luke, and let's stay in that, because I think we're all in agreement on the fact that this particular Luke, at least for us, the Mandalorian Luke doesn't really cut it to sit next to the Emperor and Darth Vader, and it's a different look for Luke. And I also, and I don't know what you feel about that. And on top of that, I really don't see a reissue of this Return of the Jedi Luke anytime soon. I don't know what you think about that, Brother Cousins. Go.
No, not at all. I think with the new Luke we're getting, with the Mandalorian Luke, I think that's going to be the Luke that they're going to push out. And I know and I think that's going to be around for a while. I think that's going to be mass produced. So yeah, I think this one, the Return of the Jedi one, is pretty much we're not going to see that a re-release or another version of this, not for a long time. So definitely.
Well, and Don, I'm going to go to you, because you bring up an interesting point. I want more of your perspective on this. So I'll give you my perspective first, and then you can present your argument. And it's possible you're right. When I look at this and I see this Luke, now when this first came out, I speculated to everybody that, okay, they're like, wow, Boba Fett and the throne is number one. It's still number one. It was number one for 4 weeks. Luke didn't overtake it. And I was saying, look, Luke will overtake it. Just give it another few weeks. Boba Fett will drop down. Well, then he's going to stay in the top 4. No, he's not. Boba Fett's going to go all the way down to here, where the other Boba Fett is. Well, why? Because they don't want that set? No. You also see Ahsoka down here. It's not the main character. You're going to see these Beskar versions of the Mandalorian, in my view, and they made the 20,000 going to US and 20,000 to Europe or whatever the numbers are. They would, since they came out, they were in the top 4 from the day they came out all the way until these chrome plated Mandalorians came out. So they made so many of them. I actually see this Luke, while it's an awesome figure and the greatest moment for me, it's not the Mandalorian. It's not his show. He's going to go down right where Ahsoka is, right where this 2-pack of Boba Fett is. I do not see them, in my view. Show me a scenario where they make 40,000 of this Ahsoka, this Boba Fett, and these figures here. Now, if this Luke stays in the top 4, I can see it. So I wanted to set the table up with that. Go ahead and make your argument.
And again, it all depends on what happens potentially in Book of Boba Fett and Mando Season 3. Because, again, there's other rumors that at this point they're going to start Luke's Jedi Academy. So, again, I don't know if they're trying to do, like, soft retcon and attach things through Mando and Bad Batch, to increase the sequel trilogy, kind of like what the Clone Wars did to, help the prequel trilogies. But, again, we're going to see Luke again. And we might be seeing a lot more of him. So, like, kind of also going with that thing, we might see 3 or 4 different versions of him in the next 4 years.
Right.
So who knows?
And you bring up a good point. So, I could actually see where they actually make as many of these Lukes. We'll go to Brother Cousins first. Don was saying, hey, they may make so many of these Lukes, like the Beskar, they're it's certainly not going to affect the Return of the Jedi Luke. But it's going to be, something that's very easily to get within the secondary market. And if it stays where it is, I think Don is 100% right. And it's a great point. I don't know. Is this going to stay up that high? And what do you think about this? Is this going to be as produced, this character, as the Mandalorian?
Yeah. I think so. Just because it's Luke. I mean, Luke is still, like, especially everybody in our generation. I think it's
special.
It's special, and he's the guy. And once again, that moment made, like I said, that moment made a lot of us cry. I mean, people that wasn't even fans of Star Wars checked in for that moment. So I think this is going to be a figure that's going to be around. And I mean, I can't see them underproducing this figure. I can only see them mass producing it because it's a money generator. So yeah, it's Luke, and I mean, like we were saying, I don't think we're gonna get a Return of the Jedi Luke anytime soon. So this is gonna be the Luke to have for everybody that missed out on that release.
So Don, I'm getting more to your point over here. I'm actually feeling it. This is a very, very, very special figure at a very, very special moment. Because when you look at the Snowspeeder pilot Luke, for a fact, even though that's my most anticipated figure. It was. Actually, now the other Luke is. The Mandalorian Luke is my most anticipated now next year. The second one, and was number one, was a Snowspeeder pilot Luke. They're certainly not going to make 40,000 of that figure. But Kiko, your opinion on this. Go.
When it comes down to it, this is their moneymaker, like you had said. And it is the scene that, I'm not going to say saved the character of Luke Skywalker, because he's always going to be Luke. But this is the scene that reestablished him, and there's a reason his lightsaber is green, because it's all the money, and they want to chase that. They want to do something with it, and if they end up, I know everyone loves to fan cast Sebastian Stan, as Luke. They did hire that YouTube person to do the deep fakes, and you had said this is not over. We have not seen the end of Luke Skywalker. That was not his swan song, and there's going to be more, and I think there's going to be versions where, the beard comes out eventually, as he becomes a more aged Jedi Master. I would love to be able to see that, kind of a little more of a scruff. But yeah, this is a pivotal moment. And I remember where I was when my friend said, "Are you watching right now?" And I'm sure it's the same way with you guys. Are you watching this? And this scene represents that. And every time someone looks at that figure, they'll be like, "Where were you when Luke showed up in The Mandalorian?" And that's what that figure represents for people.
It's a very, very, very good point. And before we continue with this, I just want to say, listen, everybody, subscribe to Don Prime and Nate at Geekin Out. These guys have an awesome channel. I got the link within the video description below. Subscribe to Kiko Collects. Another great vibe. Very, very awesome videos. I got the link within the video description below. And I didn't know Brother Cousins was going to be able to be on, so I don't have his link in there yet, but I will have it at the end. But listen, put in Brother Cousins and hit the subscribe button for sure. And also, let's go ahead and hit that like button so that Howard, who's watching this, continues to give us the figures that we're loving over here. So listen, I'm going to go into the next thing because I do have, continuing with the secondary market, go to the next figure. Now, I do have some inside information, and you three may have this as well. And you take it with a grain of salt, but I actually can kind of think just in my gut anyway, and when you look at this, that it's going to be coming out. But I'm hearing that Rex is coming out before August's end in Hong Kong. This is what I'm hearing. And I also am hearing that Ahsoka is only a couple of weeks after that, which is really, really interesting to me. But really, if Rex comes out, guys, over the next couple of weeks, we're still not going to get him here in the States for another couple. I mean, you're talking about getting him in November. So really, when you look at it that way, I'm not so surprised. But this is definitely coming. But the very interesting thing here, and I want to bring this up onto the screen because we're talking about all these trends, figures trending down, figures trending up. One thing that you're seeing more than the Remnant Trooper, the Incinerator Trooper, the Death Trooper, any of the figures that are in the secondary market that have recently come out, the one that is beating them all rising is this Cody is killing it right now. And I can bring up so much data on this particular figure, and I'm going to bring up a few things here because I like to show data on what I do, and you see that within there. But so many of these, bringing up another very reputable seller, $425 it accepted. This particular seller had another one from yesterday at $425. So, selling for about, $420, $415. You're seeing this figure all day long, selling over the $400 tier range and slowly inching up within the secondary market for Star Wars Hot Toys. And here's one where it was accepted, $400, but you got 40 shipping. And then when you go to the market value chart at 6scalecantina.com, and actually just type in Cody in the search box there, and I'm going to put it up so we can all see what the current trend is on there. And you can see right here, $412, Brother Cousins, and rising. I'm going to go to you here first with this. So you have to wonder, with this figure on fire right now, what is the imminent release of this figure here going to have impact-wise on Cody in the secondary market if it's already at the $400 tier range where you're seeing it right now? What say you?
Yeah, I see it definitely going up to about 450 to 5. I would say 500. Once Rex drops, it's going to be about 525. Easy. But I think that's going to be at the high. I still think there'll be some time for people to get it at 4. I see it going like mostly in the 450s to the 460 range. I see it going that route, but who knows? I'm just kicking myself because I could have had Cody last Christmas at my local comic book shop, and I remember holding it in my hand. And I was like, should I, should not? And now I'm kicking myself about it. So,
well, I tell you what, Kiko, Brother Cousins brings up a good point. That actually sat in stock for 3 months, which isn't terribly long, but a lot of these figures like the Remnant Trooper or the Incinerator Trooper, the Death Trooper, Cody, they sat in stock for 3 months. You're seeing what's happening with Cody there right now and the kind of steam that it's generating. What is this Rex? What kind of effect do you think Rex will have, if any, on that figure?
Oh, sorry, me?
I went to Kiko. We'll give him 1 second.
Oh,
right?
sorry.
He's got a little bit of a delay. Did you hear that, Kiko? Okay, so we'll go to you first, Don, there, while Kiko corrects that. What effect do you think Rex will have, if any?
Here's the thing. Rex is kind of... Everybody loves Rex. But is everyone going to put down the money to get him if they can't get Cody? That's another thing I potentially can see. No, believe me. My Rex has been paid off since, the original time in April. So, yeah. Like, for me, Cody... I'm building, a 2/12 battle with Grievous, and like I've already have my CCFLs and all that stuff done. So I'm gonna need Rex either for Anakin or for Ahsoka, especially with the Coruscant Guard. We're trying to do like one of the chase scenes. So essentially, they're like kind of like A and B if you're gonna do any diorama. That's if you're gonna do any scenes, you're gonna do anything other than just static A-frame poses. Especially if you have already have Anakin and Kenobi, any version of them, you kind of need these two because they're the general and the commander of each specific unit. So,
yeah, and interesting in the chat before we go ahead and go to Kiko's back now. How many people in the chat, if you have Cody? I'm very interested. If you have Cody, how many of you are just not going to get Rex and skip on it if you have Cody? I'm very, very curious on that. And Kiko, I don't know if you were able to hear the question, but look, the Commander Cody is just really strong within the secondary market, and it didn't dip like a lot of those other aforementioned figures a little bit. It's very steadily inching up. What effect, if any, is this Rex going to have on that figure?
Thank you for being patient with me on getting back to my Wi-Fi here. I'm back
problem.
in the home office, so that's a good thing. After I answer this question, I'm going to actually get on the computer, so I don't have to be on the phone anymore. But what I was saying is that I don't think Rex will have any effect on Cody, simply because I think the reason that the Cody prices are going up are the release of the 501st Troopers, because they want that head to put on it. I think it's the Cody head, because Rex has the blonde hair, Cody's got the black hair. So it's very similar to your average clone look. And I think that that's also driving, so you can use the Cody head on your 501st, and then put the helmeted head as well. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1. That's my opinion on Cody.
That's a very interesting opinion. If you have to go ahead and switch to your home computer, just come on back. That sounds good. Brother Cousins, that's an interesting opinion. What do you think about that? Do you think that there is actually a possibility where Rex wouldn't have an impact on that? I mean, I think that's a very interesting perspective. What do you think?
I think that's a real interesting perspective on it. But I can't see... I mean, me personally, I'm a completionist, so I know it would kill me to have Cody and not have Rex. So
it would kill me too. I gotta have them both.
That would kill me. I'm like, oh no. But
Don, for me, and here's where I'm going with this. It's going to be, there's no guarantees either way. I could actually see a scenario where Cody just continues to do what it does, and maybe Rex is just not as popular, but. From everything that I could put my finger on, I actually think not only will the Rex impact the Commander Cody and actually catapult it beyond the $500 tier range before the end of the year. I actually think that once that Captain Rex hits waitlist, that some people are going to be like, oh crap, I can't believe that I missed that. Because you see a lot of people doing it now with Cody. You see a lot of people having that oh no effect. I can't believe, like Brother Cousins was saying, I can't believe that I missed on this. I actually see that could happen more with Rex, because I actually think he's more popular in a way and a figure that's more in demand. But what do you think? It's a hard one. Don Prime is stumped. You're the encyclopedia.
I know.
It could go either way.
Exactly, but I think a lot of it has to do with preference, because everybody has their favorite clone. Like, I love Cody, but Rex is still my all-time favorite. But then again, we've only seen a little bit of Cody's backstory as well. Could he show up again in Obi-Wan? Very much so. Again, because is it going to tie into the Bad Batch? And that's not spoiling anything. Again, we're just... there's just so many different ways the breadcrumbs have been left that the trail could go any different way. And I think the reception to what's coming out and is also going to be driving the prices. If new people all of a sudden see Cody and then they see, the prequel trilogy, and then they're like, oh my god, kind of like why potentially Hot Toys is going to make so many of Mando Luke. Because for mainland China, which is Hot Toys' main market, that might be a lot of people's actual first introduction into Luke Skywalker, which would then introduce them into the original trilogy. So it's a feeder drug also for the other market to introduce them. So,
well, and Kiko, going back to you, it looks like that you're kind of in your home base here. So happy to have you more situated in there. But going to another aspect of Rex, I mean, I have everything up that it comes with, and this figure is just sick. I absolutely cannot wait to get this figure. And you have to wonder, Kiko, with the way the 501st is just so super, super hot, and I get comments all the time. I'm getting 12. I'm getting 9. I'm getting 6. I mean, I'm more than any other trooper in history. I'm hearing all these people all over the 501st. And I know that there's quite a few that are getting multiples of this particular figure. Is this a figure that's just going to sit in stock longer than Cody, as long as the Jawa and the Gonk droid? Can you sit on this figure if you really want this figure? What say you?
It's definitely not a Jawa and Gonk droid situation. I can tell you that for sure. But this figure, I think the people that want it already have it pre-ordered. I don't think it's going to come down to maybe should I, shouldn't I? If you want this, you're getting this figure. What I think is going to be interesting is how long it'll be until it goes waitlist. I think this is going to be one of those figures, kind of like the Heavy Mandalorian, that although there are a ton of these, I don't think it'll sit around very long at all, because it's an iconic clone, and a lot of people grew up with the Clone Wars, and this is a different head sculpt with the blonde hair, like you'd said. Especially if Ahsoka is right on his heels, people will want to put those both in the DTOF together, and you will not see it be sitting around long at all. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, Brother Cousins, piggyback on that and tell me a little bit about how long Ahsoka is going to be on as well. Can you tie them both in together? What say you?
I think they'll be. I think they're going to be gone. Just like Kiko was saying, it's not gonna. It's one of these figures that as soon as it comes in stock on Sideshow, it's probably going to be waitlisted. That happened with Heavy Mando. I think that happened with the original Durasteel Mando as well. Yeah, it's gonna go. Those figures they're jumping off the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Don, you have to wonder with the Ahsoka figure and bringing that up as well in the conversation here with Rex, and I really do believe that that's going to be on the heels the Ahsoka Tano, with this Rex in short order. You have to wonder how many of these they actually made, because they made the decision. Remember, the decision shocked a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world are they doing? Coming out with Ahsoka and Grogu while this is out. So I look at it as, is it possible that they're like, okay, we're going to put this out quick. They're not going to make as many of the. I think maybe will make as many of these as Rex for sure, but maybe not as many beyond as we're thinking. What say you?
I mean, this Ahsoka, this is kind of one of those figures, especially versus the Mandalorian, where you kind of have to grow up with her. You kind of have to know her. Like, again, she was actually hated when she first came out, and you've literally seen Filoni grow up as a storyteller while he's, further the character arc of Ahsoka. I mean, for me personally, Mando Ahsoka, I really liked her, but that's not what I'm looking for in my display. This is the Ahsoka that I'm looking for. At this point, she's still not technically a Jedi anymore, but she's still fighting with Anakin. She's still loyal to Rex. And, that's what I want for my display. Especially, again, the 212th is my favorite. That's what I'm going to build my display around in Grievous and Obi-Wan. So, I mean, and it's one thing I could display, Rex, the 501st, Ahsoka, and Anakin all together, and it's still canon, That's the kind of stuff I'm going for.
And it's interesting. I'm looking at some of these comments. The season, 7 Ahsoka is my favorite. Oh, I want the Mando, Ahsoka with Rosario Dawson. It almost seems like Kiko, when they did this, did they actually consider it when they closed the doors and they're in their boardrooms that they're going to kind of split this a little bit? They're not going to overrun one with the other. I think it's going to be actually very interesting to see just how many of these they make. And I think that the real tell is going to be, when do these sell out in Hong Kong? Do they have to discount these in Hong Kong? I don't think they're going to have to do that with Rex. I don't think they're going to have to do that with this. What say you?
I really don't know the fan reception to Ahsoka in Hong Kong. I don't. I recently saw the line for Iron Man versus the line for Cyborg. The love for Marvel as opposed to DC in the Asian markets is totally different. I'm not for sure where they come out on the Clone Wars. I just don't know that. Having it being a strong female character, I'm not for sure if that's something that is going to have a lot of people gravitate towards. As well as, you do have the screen accurate version, and that's the one that people, I think, have an issue with. They're like, do I want the screen accurate with Rosario Dawson, or do I want this one that is it's kind of a hybrid. You really don't know what it is, but when you squint a little bit, it looks like Rosario to me. I don't think it's too bad at all, but I think it's going to sell heavily in the States more than the Asian markets. But once again, that's just my opinion on that. I would love to kind of see where people are at in their reception of her.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting indeed, for sure. 104 watching. Let's hit, let's smash that like button, and let's go ahead and brewing coffee. If you need some on table 5, you need some on table 4, 3, 2, 1. We just had Jedi Toys is joining us in the house. How are you there, Jedi Toys? So nice to have you in here for sure. And we've got Desi from Metamorphic Customs in the house as well. So look forward to having those guys. They'll be on the next panel coming up over here. We got 108 in here for sure. Let's go into some this last one before we go into a little bit about budgeting for this, which is very interesting to me. And we're going to start off with you, Brother Cousins, on this. This figure is trending way down. Now, you don't know which one it is yet because I got to actually let it load up. You can see right here, back from August 5th, $255, 21 bits, 646,490 feedback. So pretty good. Let's go to another one here. This one just ended today. And $218,
What?
Brother Cousins, for an OG Mando.
I am
With 15 bids. It is sinking, my friend. What is going on with OG Mando? What say you?
I blame it on the Blurg 2-pack. That's definitely what I blame it on, because I think a lot of people, I know last year when this figure dropped, a lot of people rushed and went and got it, and then it was waitlisted on Sideshow like as soon as it was available. And we thought we would never see this Mando again, because in the show he got the Beskar armor, he had all the different looks, and then I'm assuming that they'll change his look once again in season 3, especially now that he has the Darksaber and everything. So I think a lot of people didn't think we would see this again. So I know everybody was quick to jump on it, and we saw the price rise. And now that the opportunity is posing itself that people can get this figure again in the Blurg 2-pack, they're kind of moving away from it. And that's why, and I think honestly, I think this price drop, it's temporary. I think it's a temporary thing. I think we'll see it go back up again, but I am shocked to see it at 218. That's wow, completely shocked.
Don, let's go to you. I mean, I think that's a good point. I do agree with Brother Cousins that this will, at the end of the day, whether it's a year, a couple years, few years, it'll be a highly sought after figure. But people could be just sitting on that Blurg and the OG Mandalorian and be like, you know what, I'm going to get that, and I don't need to get this. I mean, but this is sinking.
And I honestly think we may potentially see this again in The Mandalorian, either season 3 or 4 as flashbacks. Again, with the Death Watch as well. They might actually show how they have to train him, how he's, indoctrinated. And again, so that's why, again, I possibly think we're going to see the Death Watch again. We're going to see the B2s, we'll probably see B1s again, and we'll probably see heavy infantry again. Jon Favreau's character. Especially, if they're gonna
for sure.
So
that one's Don. I'll let you keep going. The heavy infantry Mandalorian it's starting to trend up again. It's starting to. It was up over 400. It trended down around 350, 360. Now going back up around 370. But this OG Mando this is killing the heavy infantry is killing the OG Mando.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll just say this: just because it's not his current look doesn't mean we won't necessarily see it again. I mean, anything is fair game with the Mandalorian now, especially the fact that, he will take anything and use it for armor if it will help him, as he's, already shown in his change on his thigh pads.
Kiko, I'm going to go to you with this. We got 107 watching. Please go ahead and hit that like button. Let's smash that like button. Much appreciated here at the watching the Market Value Chart Show live. And Kiko, wow, the OG Mandalorian is tanking in the secondary market. What is your opinion? You heard all this.
I think without a doubt it's the blurg, but I think what everyone has said is that at the end of the day, people aren't going to be wanting to buy the 2-pack to get the blurg and the Mando later on. And so it comes down to a display preference and a display space. And if you don't have the space for the two of them, you're going to want to go back to that one. And I think because there's so much Mando saturation, there's 3 current versions kind of floating around out there, that it's a little oversaturated right now. A lot of people are unloading so that and we can talk about that once we get to the budget portion, but people are unloading everything that they have to go and get the definitive version, the chrome, copper plate, whatever you want to call that. But I think most people will kick themselves because this is that iconic look, and it stands out on a shelf so much differently, especially if you have the armor, or especially if you have IG-11. It looks so good together, and when it comes down to it, if I had to get rid of one of them, I would get rid of my Beskar to keep this one. And if you are in the buyer's market and you can snatch one for this price, get it while you can. You will be kicking yourself later on for it.
Now, I agree, and I'm going to read this super chat in a minute. And thank you so much, OG fan with Star Wars or just Star Wars for this, because these are 2 great guys over here, and I want to talk about that for a second. But listen, with 108 in here, I totally agree with Kiko. If you're in the market for an OG Mandalorian, and right now it's going for these really the below retail in the secondary market, this, I assure you, will not be like the Jet Troopers for long, or those some of those sequel troopers. It will rise, and probably even with this, I'm still going to hold to my opinion that this will be all day long in the future a $400 tier range figure. And the other thing is, Kiko, I agree with you, and I'll let you expand upon this real quick before I read this. I really believe that chrome-plated Mandalorian is, for some people, for maybe many people, the definitive version. It's having a huge effect.
It is, because I know that so many people started to get rid of their Season 2 Beskar one immediately, which I've never understood that when you have 2 years out to try to kind of unload that. That's just not my game. I don't play it like that. But there's some people that say, I'm only having one Mando on my shelf, and I want it to be this one. And so they were really salty when that one was debuted, because they're like, man, I just got this in from Sideshow. What am I going to do? Blah, 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 blah. And immediately send it on Mercari or eBay. And even if it is going to be taking a loss, because they want that money to put towards that new pre-order. And yeah, that season, or I guess 3rd iteration, Season 2 version is going to be the definitive one until next season, and then it'll be the definitive one again. And that's just a dangerous game to try to play. Yep. And so be happy with the ones you got, and you'll regret when you don't have them. Always, always, always.
Well, with 113 in here, thank you. So 119 in here now. Please go ahead and smash that like button. We have got Kiko Collects in the house, Brother Cousins in the house, Don Prime from Geekin Out in the house. And let's read this chat, because we've got some other great channel members and other great people in the community that are within the chat. And thanks everybody in the chat for watching, as we have 121 in here now. But let's read the super chat. Everyone check out Gemi Toys interview with Desi at Metamorphic Customs. Great video, of course. And he goes on to say, Boba Fett is the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. Boba Fett, just mentioning his name makes me spill my coffee, baby. Listen, let's talk about Desi at Metamorphic Customs. Desi is making a custom, not only a topper for my a display base for me. He's making a whole diorama for the Dark Jedi, Ares Tarrington. When I finally unveil and put out my collection video, which I know you all want to go ahead and see. But listen, I've got the link to both Gemi Toys and Desi at Metamorphic Customs to Desi stuff within 6scalecantina.com. Just go to the resources and links tab, and you can go ahead and get right to them. As a matter of fact, all these guys here, I got Kiko Collects in there. He probably didn't even know I had him in that. Same thing with Brother Cousins. Same thing with Geekin Out. So, but thank you so much for that, OG fan. I appreciate that. And check out that video for sure. But yeah, it's really, really interesting on this OG Mandalorian. It's tanking, but it won't do that for long. Here's something else. And actually, let's actually go to. I think this would be a great time. Let me pull this up on the screen, everybody. And let's talk a little bit about budgeting, which I think there is a little bit to do with what we're seeing in the secondary market right now. Because let's face it, there is a whole lot coming out for Star Wars Hot Toys, and you have to kind of look at it and with all the shows coming out, because you're talking about, this was just with the Mandalorian, basically, everybody. You're talking about just with the Mandalorian. And Don, I'm going to go to you first. But we haven't even gotten into the Book of Boba Fett. We haven't even gotten into the Obi-Wan series. We haven't even, gotten into the Andor series and the Mandalorian season 3 and the Ahsoka series and the Lando series, and all these series and stuff that's coming out. So there's going to be a plethora of new figures that are going to be coming out. But as you look at this list, in addition to the secondary market, I know for me personally, there are some figures on here that I actually had to make a hard decision on to skip, because there's other figures that they're coming out with that are more important. So for some of these figures that are on here, I have some figures I'm passing on. There's a lot of channels out there that go buy or pass. For me, I'm a Star Wars fan. Everything, if I could, is a buy, Don, because and it's a hot toy. I mean, how do you even review these things, give it a bad rating? It's a hot toy. They're usually good. But I have to kind of streamline now personally and pick and choose what my favorite characters are. So to set this up on here, and we'll get into this conversation, I'm actually putting out a list. I have a whole spreadsheet of what I'm going to buy. I have a spreadsheet of what I was going to buy and crossing them off. And honestly, it continues to evolve. I have it saved on my hard drive because as they come out with releases, I kind of put them next to each other saying which is more important. And I think that that's really, really important for collectors at this time, to be able to kind of narrow down what they want to get so that they are able to budget for this. But let me stop there. I set the table. We can get into a whole lot. Don, let me give it to you.
Well, for me personally, at this point, and again, as I was telling her, I spent pretty much the cleaning, modding stuff, making space available, moving things around. So again, for for Marvel figures at this point, the only one I have on order is the Mark 1. I mean, and if it's not in the Infinity Saga, I'm not getting it. That's my hard, fast rule. Now, but when it comes to Star Wars, sequel trilogy, I'm not touching that with 10-foot pole. But at this point, space is a factor, and I don't want to keep having to buy module cases and waiting. So it's literally characters that have an emotional impact with me, or, the scene has an impact with me. And again, like some of these figures, I'm like, okay, I think they're cool, but I'm not going to get like the Dark Trooper. I'm going to pass on that. I mean, I buy Mando Luke, I'm going to get a crushed one. And that's essentially what.
I'm so glad they did that, Don. I'm going to cut you off, but because now I don't have to get the Dark Trooper. I will tell everybody that is one that the Dark Jedi is passing on. I just can't get all these.
Exactly, and now especially for me, Exo 6, they're doing their Star Trek line. And I'm just a huge Trekkie as I am a Star Wars fan because I think they're two sides of the same coin. And again, a Data, he's probably going to drop any day. So that's, money away. Then they've got Picard, who's supposed to be coming ASAP. So, and then it's like, okay, then I'm going to have to start budgeting because I know potential other figures coming from that, release dates and stuff that haven't been announced yet. So now I'm like, oh crap, now I'm going to have to get this and with the associate. So it's like, the problem is with getting into another line, you're going to have to start sacrificing other lines as well. And then you have to balance or find the perfect mesh of every character in your display has a reason it's there, not just because you bought it, because it looked cool.
Well, no, and that's great, and we can continue to expand on this because I could tell you that, for me personally, brother cousins, as we just go down the panel here, I narrow my hot toys for me because I'm a Star Wars fan number one, and that I rate everything else underneath. So I narrow it down first, generally like an outline on an essay. I'm just going to do Star Wars in hot toys. That's number one, because I would love to have the Marvel ones. I would love to have the DC ones. I'm a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I must have seen that movie 36 times. I love Jack Sparrow. But if I go down that road, as a collector, I just can't stop wanting the next one from it. It's like, I'm just going to get this one. I'm not going to get into this lot. I just like Jack's. You know what? Then I'm going to want this. So what I do is I put a hard line on myself and saying, this is what I'm going to do. And then maybe with other lines that maybe aren't as expensive or in something else, I could expand into some of those other things. That's just one idea. So what I'm trying to do here is give collectors some ideas to help them. Not every idea is all right, but for me, what works for me, what is my number one? Your number one, Aries, is Star Wars. Okay, so right now I could just put the outline there. What's your number two? What's your favorite movie? Well, do I like Attack of the Clones better than I like Return of the Jedi? And I could kind of start narrowing these down. So let me stop there and go to you. That's one advice I have, piece of advice.
And I think that's a good way to do it. Personally, it's hard for me because my love for Star Wars and my love for Marvel they're equal. So it makes it real hard for me. But now I've just like Don was saying, if it's in the MCU, I'm straying away from like the single movie figures. I'll get stuff in the Infinity War saga, but now I'm trying to narrow my collection down to Endgame and Infinity War and the original Avengers. That's how I have my Marvel collection set up. Star Wars is a little tricky, especially with the Mandalorian now, because it's like I cherry pick. What characters do I like the most from the Mandalorian? Those are the ones I go after. Same with the original saga, and I wasn't going to collect anything from the sequel. I actually sold a lot of my Star Wars sequel trilogy figures, but then Rey and Kylo Ren came out, and those pulled me right back in.
They pulled you in because and you got to be careful of that.
Yeah,
because I look at some of these Marvel releases that come out. And I'm just like, wow, that's hot. That's awesome. And I'm literally about to pull the trigger, and I'm like, no, don't, because I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. I can't go out. Look, with 124 in here, please go ahead and hit that like button. Much, much appreciated. That because Howard's watching. Let me read this before I go to you, Kiko, and we'll keep going around here. Lane Kramer puts in, thank you for the $5 super chat. I am a trooper lover, but I had to make the hard decision that I can only get one of each. Do I want 4 troopers, or do I want to get singles of more types? So look, that's another good methodology. Like Lane is taking a step to be like, look, if I narrow this down, I'm a trooper lover, but I get one of each. Is it better for me to have multiples of certain ones and then I really have the other ones, or I can get a sampling of each one? So you kind of have to like discover yourself and be like, what is it that I really want? And then kind of, if you lay down parameters, it's kind of like, if you go to dinner, Kiko, and you're going on vacation with your significant other. You most of the time, most people have a budget. and they'd be like, okay, this is how much we're going to budget. This is what we're willing to spend. We have a little bit of an over thing here, but I think you got to kind of do the same thing with toys. But I feel like for some of us, you could get so enticed that you could just go down that road. But what say you?
That is a great point, and I think the biggest issue with this hobby is how addicting it can be, and how quickly you can find yourself over your head. Let's just be honest, because they put so many good things out there that we as a community are so close knit that if you see something that someone else has, you automatically think you need to have it too. And there is that FOMO, the fear of missing out, to where if somebody sees somebody post online and be like, oh, so-and-so got this, they love this, I think I'm going to get it too. We have a Brad problem. I've done it myself, and I've really tried to kind of reverse course recently, but I sometimes will get things because someone else got them. But you have to ask yourself, do you want this for you? Why are you putting it in your collection? Are you getting it simply because it's out and because you have nothing else to buy? That's not a good reason to get something, because those will be the first ones that you end up selling off when you end up having space issues. So you have to ask yourself, why am I putting this in my collection? Does it fit my aesthetic? Kind of what you had said. Is it going to be Marvel? Is it going to be Star Wars? Is it going to be a line from Star Wars? Is it just going to be Troopers? Whatever it may be. You need to, before you even start collecting, you need to decide that is what I'm going to do. Because the worst thing about the Hot Toys 6-scale world is that if you go underwater and you start getting too deep on pre-orders, or you start buying more than you can actually either sell or have on you, and you're just you're not going to be having fun anymore. You're going to be swapping things out, and if this is a fun hobby for you, then you need to reanalyze it, because you need to have fun at the end of the day. You shouldn't be stressed when you go into your toy room and be like, oh man, I got to pay these off. I have this pre-order coming. Oh, I got to sell this. That's not collecting. That's managing things that you don't want to. And so I can't implore our collector friends out there enough to say, why are you getting it for you? And make sure it is for you, and it's something that you love, not just like or think you might like. Make sure it's something you love.
No, and those are great points, Kiko. And thank you so much for that super chat, Lane. And that's a great point and goes right along in here. And look, you bring up a great point, Kiko, and pulling this back up onto the screen. You know, sometimes I feel like, and I think we've all been collecting a long time, and I know from my years of collecting, whether it's you know, especially with a lot of other lines, sometimes you feel the need to collect, so you just collect, but it's something that you do want. I'm a Star Wars fan. It's like, okay, I'm going to collect this, but it's not really the character I'm really, really looking for, and you could kind of get caught up in that too, and so. Patience is key, but like for me here, you know, I had to make some hard choices. You know, I have the Coruscant guard in another figure line, and I'm like, you know what? I really, really want it, but I really collect Hot Toys for me personally, for the head sculpts, for the individual sculpting that goes through. For each one is unique, and as hard as it for me not to get so many of these troopers, I draw a line for myself where it's like, for almost all troopers, if they don't come with a head sculpt, if it's not like Rex, if it's not like Cody, I'm going to skip those because I have those in another line, and I'm going to focus more on the head sculpt. So that's just another way, Don, that I go ahead and try and measure this. And actually, you know, with a figure on another line, which you'll all see in my collection, I just bought something you know, last month for a different collection. So it's not just like I'm buying Hot Toys, because I knew that I really can't afford it in the Hot Toys collection. But let me go ahead and let you expand on that.
Now, like, so as far as clones, now I have the Hot Toys 501st, and then I have a couple of Sideshow 212s. Now, I mean, for me personally, I am an armor junkie. Clone armor, stormtroopers, I want all the variants. So, I mean, but I don't have all the variants. I mean, it's like I've got the Snowtrooper, the Scout, you know, the Sand Trooper, the Rogue One, and then, you know, Han, and then I'm going to get the Artillery Trooper to go with the Ketchup Trooper. But for me personally, it doesn't matter if it's necessarily in another line because I cracked open my sideshow armor and I modified it. So I brought it, essentially I fixed up the body, put, future polish on it, tightened it up, put new suits on it, and then, I even converted one of them to an airborne trooper. So I have no problem, and I'll keep those right next to the 212 that come from Hot Toys. So, and again, to me though, I'm gonna be that guy that probably buys 5 or 6 212, because again, I'm getting Grievous. I want to go, and I have a specific plan though, and my plan is to build a Battle of Utapau. So, and that has been my plan since the very beginning. So, I mean, if you're gonna do something big, at least have a plan.
Yeah, and listen, JB, this is a very serious discussion. You can't be asking me questions that is going to get me to spill my coffee. And I say yes, they are going to make another emperor. But let's continue to go down here, brother Cousins. Yeah, I mean, these are all really good points, and I think that for me, it's like that was a really hard decision because they do a really good job with the stormtroopers. I actually had it where, going back to this screen over here, I'll be honest with you, I had I couldn't wait to get this stormtrooper commander. I'm like, wow, okay, a way to get the stormtrooper. I could go ahead and get in there. I was going to get a bunch, and I'm like, you know what? I mean, I can't get every one. Now I've got to go ahead and narrow these down. I've got tons of stormtroopers in another line. So again, just another aspect to be able to navigate through some of these things. But go ahead, go.
Yeah, it's hard. It really is. And like I was saying, for me personally, I try to collect it towards the movie line or the movie that's dear to my heart, like Star Wars, Marvel. I'm also a big '80s and Terminator fan. The good thing about it is they don't make that many Terminator figures. They haven't, made them in a long time. So that collection is almost, for me, it's done. So I don't have to worry about that. And same with like Back to the Future and stuff like that. Um, it wasn't a lot of figures. So that worked out for me to be locked in those collections. But when it comes to Star Wars and Marvel, it is hard. You got to really cherry pick. And I think you hit on some. I think the whole panel has hit on something that's real. Is a real good point. Get the figures that are close to your heart. Just don't get something that somebody else, because that whole FOMO thing. You just don't want to get something because there's always a flavor of the month. Like personally, I have a Hellboy figure that I bought, and Hellboy, and I love the figure. He's great. He doesn't fit my collection, and like Kiko was saying, that may be a figure I end up selling down the line because he doesn't fit the collection at all. Even though he's great and I loved him when I saw him in my comic store, nothing came out for the 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, I gotta get something, and I got him. But and I still love him, and I'm probably gonna keep him. But 9 times out of 10, when all these figures start coming out back to back, he may be going out of here because he doesn't fit the collection. And honestly, I'll probably how eBay fees is. I'll probably take a hit on it, and not a big hit, but still, these are the things you got to consider when you're buying these figures. Because like Kiko was saying, you can get caught up very easy and be in over your head.
And here's the thing: look at the Mud Trooper, which in this market, I feel like, I know I was even tempted at some point. I'm like, wow, this is going so high in the secondary market. And because it's so high, I need to, find a way to, get this figure or whatnot. And, after, kind of pinching myself a little bit, I'm like, look, I already got the one that I really want. I really don't want this figure. And plus I actually have the Bud Trooper, believe it or not, in another line. And the one that Hot Toys one that I want is just the Han Solo Deluxe. And so I think that sometimes, Kiko, and I know everybody in this panel has talked about, this before, but I think it's good to just bring up again. Sometimes you can get caught up in that FOMO, or you could get caught up in oh, this is really high, but it's not really what I want, but there's nothing coming out right now. And I think that patience is another thing that I've learned in this particular, when you're collecting, you know something's coming out. You really know you're not going to have the money for anything else, but you got nothing going on right now. And I think that, doing some of the things in your collection, like reorganizing your collection room, doing things like Don Prime was showing in the beginning. He got, a 3D printed, pauldron from a friend, and he was taking time to paint it. I mean, there's other things to do in this hobby besides just spend the money. You can spend the money and then spend time enjoying it without spending money right afterwards. What say you?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. And these are parts of your life. They are part of. They're not. You don't just collect them. You want to enjoy them as well. That's like for me, for example. I love taking photos of them. I love being able to, set them up and get some really cool lighting on it and post a real artsy photo of that. I love doing that. Repose them from time to time if you want. And I know some people will get afraid about that, especially museum pose people, and that's fine if that's your thing. But they don't need to just. You're not collecting things if you're not enjoying them, or I guess you are just collecting things and you're hoarding if you're not enjoying them. You need to find out what brings you joy from the figure. Why did you get it in the first place if you're not enjoying it? And so I think we need to have a real, hard look at some of the things that we do. And I think someone said in the chat a minute ago is that the release times and just the idle time of just waiting gets us into trouble, because we're like, well, I need to be doing something and I don't have anything to do on the shelf. I'll just go put something on the shelf. And there's no point to do that. And so what you had said, figure out something to do with them, pose them, clean them, take photos of them, do a YouTube video on them or something. But, enjoy them what they have. They are pieces of art, and, don't stress out about what's going to be the next thing just so you can be able to show it off.
Yeah,
exactly. Don, go ahead and take it from there. Give me your point on that. I'll be right back.
All right, yeah. So I mean, ultimately, too, at a certain point, if your collection reaches a certain value, I mean, I know we're talking about not necessarily spending the money on the figure. Also, though, again, once you reach a certain point, and again, it all depends on how you have your presentation. Now, me personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with DTOS, but if you're going for that next level, again, as you can see, I have module cases. And again, I think for me personally, once you have, certain figures, certain amount of figures, and you want to go certain things, you want to actually display them certain ways, you need to basically kick up your display. And then when I bought my module cases, everything in my room now is on soap reactors, which are all attached to, smart plugs, which is all hooked up, to voice. So it's one of those things, too, that, I have wiring diagrams. I have, 5 CCFLs, but I've got them all on one master wall plug, all through a channel dimmer. But they're in 3 separate locations, but all those are voice activated. Those little things, you want to add the personalization. You go into your display room, you go into your office. That's supposed to be a place of zen. That's literally where you go, you don't care, and that's like nostalgia. I come and I'll kit bash figures up here. And like literally it's a zen area. It's like nobody can touch you. You're in your own little cocoon, and it's just joy.
This is absolutely, and this is a great question from JB Collection. But sometimes if you wait on a figure and it sells out, then what? We are stuck with the secondary market. And thank you for that, JB, because I want to talk about that. And also, this is coming. This is coming. Is it possible I'll have some blue spotchka when I go ahead and show you the collection room? Listen, I'm going to go back to that Mud Trooper. This is a good point, and I think what a lot of collectors struggle with is something that I struggled with in the past, is the fear of missing out or seeing, wow, this figure is trending so high, I need to get in on this figure. But then if I step back and be like, look, I don't want this figure. I don't want this figure. So it doesn't matter to me, and I've mentioned this with the Mud Trooper before, if it goes up to $10,000, I might say in my mind, wow, it's a $10,000 figure. I should have bought it to sell it so I can make $9,600. But I'm not in that. I'm not in that for this. So I think that the easiest way to do this here is just to collect exactly what you want and try and prioritize it, and don't get, so worried about, oh, I'm going to miss out on it, unless it's a figure you want. Now, Kiko, I'm bringing this up over here with this, and thank you for that comment, JB. I'm looking on over here, and we'll go down to you, and then we'll go up, but I'll go ahead and feel. So, for me, Luke, Deluxe, buy. Armor, buy. Boba Fett on the throne, buy. That's just one. So those are all new releases. So you know what that means, Kika? It means that there's other figures that I had that I was going to get that are coming off. But these are ones where there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I know in my heart I absolutely want these three figures, the Armor, Luke, and Boba Fett, and especially because they are the tops of my list because of what that did for Star Wars. Other things are going to come down. So that's part of the decision-making process. For me, I'm not going to be waiting for these in the secondary market because I want them.
Yeah, and I've always said, and it takes some planning and it takes some thought that goes into it. This is not the thing about 6-scale collecting and Hot Toys collecting specifically. It's not something you just run down the store and just pick it up off the peg. There's some thought that goes into these, and it gives you the opportunity, because of the long wait time, to really think, stop and pause. Is this something I really want? It gives you that opportunity and that flexibility. But I've said before that if you think you might want it, go ahead and get it, because if you don't want it later, then you can flip that back and you'll say, no harm, no foul. But if you think you may want it, just grab it, because and if you are set up to do that, then just grab it so you don't regret it later on. You'd much rather have something in your collection and then get rid of it, and then as opposed to trying to go back and get it later on. As far as what you had
That's
said,
a great point.
The must-haves. Yeah, for me right now, it's kind of coming down to a space issue. And so I'm going to have to decide if I want to add something else. Something else in this collection is going to have to come out, because I don't have an infinite, a room that just continues to expand. It doesn't work like that. So you do have to think and find out, what's it going to be? And kind of what you had said, maybe write down or list and say, okay, where are my pivotal moments in these movies? What characters can I not live without? And if you can rank those and say, okay, Luke is a 10 out of 10. Maybe, the AT-ST hover tank pilot, that's probably a 2 out of 10. Yeah, it's cool to have, but I don't need that right now. And you need to decide whether or not that's going to work. And the last thing I'll say about all those is that don't get something because you think that it's going to be expensive later on. These are not investment opportunities for you to say, oh, I'm going to retire because I'm going to buy 75, hover tank pilots because all the Rogue One figures are expensive. I want to flip them all. If you want to really invest in something, put it into stocks or something more liquid. I've talked about that before. Yep. Plastic is not an investment opportunity. So don't get things just to try to flip them. I cannot stress that enough.
No, and that's a great point. And just reading this here from Cobra's collection. I'm a huge 80s RoboCop and 90s Terminator Hot Toys collector. I order figs that pull on my heartstrings, like Luke, Dark Trooper, and JL Cyborg on a budget. Look, it's a good point, Don. These, the heartstrings.
Mm-hmm. And ultimately, that's what merchandising. That's what ads. That's what they're supposed to do. Every key aspect of a production, successful marketing advertising campaign, it's psychological. They're supposed to, either bring sense of nostalgia, sense of family, sense of connection. And again, most of the people that are dropping the money on these figures, we grew up watching the OT or we grew up watching the sequel trilogy. And again, just due to the fact that because we like Star Wars, they have done studies that says, because we like Star Wars, or even, I like Star Trek, statistically, we are higher intelligence. Generally, we have better jobs, so therefore we have more higher discernible income. So they're targeting us because, they know we can afford a few figures here and there. But the problem is you have to know yourself. You might be able to afford 10 figures. but you only want 4, and you could turn the money for that 6 and make an extra house payment, or or make an extra payment of your car, or get your tires replaced. So I mean, just because you have the money for it doesn't mean you have to necessarily get it if it doesn't mean anything with you. Again, if you're missing out, the point where you haven't bought anything, just because you haven't bought anything doesn't mean you have to. And again, I've been there. I think everyone has. It's it's a chemical reaction in the brain. When you get that figure, it's an endorphin rush, and you're chasing that next rush when you order the next figure.
And you have to keep it in check. That's a great point, Don. And Brother Cousins, go to you. I mean, I had to really draw the hard line to stay with Star Wars, for Hot Toys because of, budget concerns and whatnot. And I had to draw an even deeper line, for instance, in really narrowing down what I do with troopers and really trying to keep most of them anyway, the just head sculpt ones, because I just love them so much, those clones. And, for me, I have so much fun doing this. You see me spill my coffee all the time. And the thing of it is because I've been doing this so long, I actually was in collecting with so many different lines where I wasn't having fun and I was stressed. And I was like, okay, I got another figure. And let me, I had a bunch of these boxes. I had so many boxes in so many different rooms of so many things. I was hoarding it like a dragon, baby. And through my years of experience and realizing, look, I'm not having any fun anymore. And now I'm having fun again, like I was when I was a kid. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. It's about having fun. And I did the same thing back in the 90s. It was all about, let me go and get a figure and not open it. Or I remember that days of buying 2 figures, buy one to open and play with, and then one to just leave in the package. And I remember the ones that I had in the package as a kid in the 90s, I didn't have that much money. So I had to just leave them in the package. And I was just like, this is not fun. It's just, I'm collecting it. But what is it doing? I'm not having any fun with it. And I think the thing with Hot Toys is it brings back that original fun of actually having fun with it. And, harking back to what you guys were saying, I think it means a lot to enjoy the figure. I know a lot of collectors that live around, close to me locally. One in particular, a friend of mine that I know, he collects everything and has so many figures, but he really doesn't display them. And I'm like, dude, you need to spend some time displaying it, enjoying it.
That takes a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
To display these.
Right. Enjoy it. And you pay all this money on it. You definitely want to pose it and look at it and poke and prod and, put it together with other, have fun with it, not just collect it, hoard it, and then move on to the next. And it is, let's face it, this is kind of a drug.
It is a drug. Listen,
really?
Plastic crack.
What it does make me poor. Anyway, look, last point I want to make with this. Look, I'm spilling my coffee with all these figures because I love the selection. I'm having so much fun. Even though I have to draw the line, I'm not going to get this, I was going to get this. But you know what? I want this Luke so much more. I want this Boba Fett on the throne so much more than another figure. And even with my experience in collecting, Kiko, I'm like, I love the selection. I feel like now I can really get what I want. Now that Hot Toys has evolved, and I'm really just not going to get what I don't want. What say you?
Oh, who's up?
Kiko.
Okay.
That was the Kiko, if you can hear me.
You cut out there. What was the actual question?
Oh, I'm sorry that I cut out. So the whole thing is I'm spilling my coffee here with all these releases and having so much fun like a kid because, look, I realized even with all my years of experience that, I really there were some figures that I was going to get that I really, really didn't want or didn't need within my Star Wars collection. And I'm digging this whole selection now that Hot Toys has. And I feel like I could take out the fodder, which really I was just going to buy just to buy something, baby. So the more that they could come out with, from my perspective, is I'm getting what I really want.
That's exactly what it comes down to. It's the stuff you really want. But if you scroll back up to the top, I mean, Did you really think a year ago that you would be having a Mandalorian Luke or a Boba Fett on the throne? Star Wars keeps surprising us with these moments that are special to us. And I wager to bet that, in the next 6 months, the next year, we're going to have more iconic moments that you'll say, I cannot wait for this moment. And we don't know what that's going to be yet, but that's what the miracle and beauty of Star Wars is that it's so magical that there's going to be these moments that we can always go back to. But as you said, find the ones that you say, this is my moment. And as you said, I've never understood, if there's people out there I'm going to offend, I'm sorry. I've never understood the in-box Hot Toys collectors, why you just want to have a box and put it in your closet. I feel like that's kind of strange to me. But once you display these and you have people come over and you can be able to tell those stories to people, it'd be like, oh, sweet, check out this Luke Skywalker. Do you remember that part from the show? Or you'll see a Vader and be like, hey, did you ever watch Star Wars growing up? It's conversation starters. And that's what it all comes down to, a social aspect of that, being able to tie our nerdyisms to all the social aspects of our life. And it's a really fun thing.
Don, your closing thoughts on this part before we go into the very last thing.
Again, it's just be smart with your money. You can get sucked in. And as ultimately as Nate and I are going to eventually get to a video, what we're going to call, ultimately, you have to control your collection. You can't let your collection control you. And the long and short of it is, it's going to take a little bit of work, especially if you're new. It's going to take a while to potentially establish a budget, know how much you can afford of figures per month, how many, if you do Sideshow, you do the payment plans, how many payment plans you can do realistically, not necessarily the number, but the amount. You have 4 pre-orders, but they're 4 Iron Man pre-orders, for example, you might be looking at $400 a month, for 5 months. And even if you're not sure what you want to do, just start small, focus on your core characters, and let it organically grow. That's just, don't force things, let it just be organic.
Yep. Brother Cousins, your closing thoughts?
I totally agree. Focus on the stuff that you want. Don't get caught up. And Don brought up a good point about the payment plans. At one point I had so much stuff when payment plan, it was like, and I think it was all coming out at once. It was like $500 a month. I was like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Move some of this. So get the stuff that you want and just be careful and spend responsibly and have fun.
So listen, as we're getting close to the end of the show here, there is one last thing. Get ready to spill your coffee because I am getting a ring from guess who? The Hot Toys Wizard, baby. All right, let me take this. Wizard, what? You're kidding. Are you sure? Well, let me add. He always hangs up on me. All right, so listen, I just got word from the Hot Toys Wizard. Are you guys ready? That someday, in some Hot Toys galaxy, far, far away, Don, we are going to get. Come on, I can't do a show without
Bill,
baby.
Jimmy Smith.
Come on.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was actually watching SVU, and a couple other different versions of Law and Order Day, and he was on a few episodes. So as soon as I see that face, I know he's Bail Organa. I just hear the dun dun. But I'll be honest with you. Supposing that he's gonna play a major role in Kenobi, I potentially actually do see this, because not only is he supposed to play a major role, Leia. They've casted a young Leia. And she's almost supposed to be like the pre-version of what she was in Rebels, where she was running her own cells under his authority. So he might be a big part in the Kenobi series.
And he's used to leading. He's used to being a star or a good co-star in a lot of these TV series. People forget that as well. And I'm telling you right now, I can see Disney, if they haven't already been talking to him about it, I'm sure he would say all day long, sign me up.
And the thing is, too, he works in Rogue One as much as he does in Revenge of the Sith.
Yes. And he's in the animated series stuff.
So.
Brother Cousins, Bail Organa, baby. Am I going to spill some coffee? Maybe I'm the only one who wants it.
Hey, I love this guy. I would love to have the figure.
I would love to. I really would. And I mean, for me, for, and I see Tanobi did say something. Let's go ahead and pull it up. Tanobi, you're saying this would be the figure. It's time to prune him out of the Tanobi, listen, I know Fabio would get 3 of these. So how many of these would you get? Kiko, look, I just feel it. You heard it from the Hot Toys Wizard. Is it possible that somehow Disney makes some type of deal with Jimmy Smits? Is Jimmy Smits ever going to get into anything Star Wars again? What say you?
I think it is inevitable. I mean, it is the stepfather of one of the classic characters, and yes, I think Rogue One was just teasing us quite a bit to say, hey, you want this. So, and let's not forget how great his performance was in Attack of the Clones. I mean, when he walks out on that balcony and overlooking the Empire, knowing that he lost essentially, and he's given all control to Palpatine essentially. I mean, there's something special when he puts his hand down and looks down. I mean, the defeated. I mean, he's an incredible actor. It's so good.
Yeah, and he was in a lot, so we'll have to see. Look, I love having fun with this baby. Look, I love spilling coffee, and I love having the blue spotchka. So, anyway, listen, let's go ahead and bring this to a close. Let's give these fine panel members an opportunity to talk a little bit about their channels. Don, real quick, you got like 30 seconds. Tell us about
Not much. We do normal live streams on Sundays from 6 to 8, so we don't bump into areas at 8, and then we do them on Wednesdays. Once in a while, we'll do specials like Thursday night unboxings. We'll do Bacardi and Jack streams, and then we'll try to do videos whenever we can.
No spotchka on there? Come on. I got to join you on one of those and bring the spotchka and bring the coffee.
Awesome. So, yep, simple, easy, and thanks for watching.
Kiko, tell us what's going on, where they could follow you. Your channel's great, man.
I appreciate that, and thank you so much for letting me be on here. I love talking toys, and I love talking 6 scale, especially with people like you. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for everyone that's been on. You can find me at kiko.collects. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram. I do toy photography on that, and I love doing that. And my Instagram channel, my YouTube channel, we're working on trying to get our subscribers up for that, so kiko.collects. And then on Tuesdays, we do a live stream of the Toy Aisle podcast with me and Order 66 Junkie from Instagram. If you hang out with him, we have talk all things plastic, not just 6 scale. So we have a good time with that. And Aries, we would love to have you on that as well to chat some 6 scale as well. So I'd love to extend an invitation to you on that.
Sign me up, baby. It'd be my honor and my pleasure. I'd love to do that and have with you guys there. That's awesome. And Brother Cousins, tell us what's coming up on Brothers Cousins Toy Reviews.
Oh, a lot of other stuff coming up. More news coming up. I know we're going to have some releases from Hot Toys, probably most likely next week. I just put up a review of the Battle Damaged Thanos. Love that figure. That thing is amazing. I'm finally going to be doing a collection tour. That's going to be awesome. That's coming this week, finally. It took us some time to film it. And still working on the Toy Stories 3-part series, which I'm gonna have you guys. I'm gonna be doing a little interview with you guys and your portion in that documentary, 3-part documentary. So that's gonna be great. So I'll be talking to you guys soon about that. And that's
all right.
For us.
Well, no, and that's awesome. And listen, I have the links to all of these guys, except Brother Cousins, not yet, because I didn't know you were able to come on, but he will be in there. But make sure everybody on the chat that you subscribe to Brother Cousins Toy Reviews. Such a good vibe, really good perspective on the whole, on all of Hot Toys. Same thing with Kiko Collects. Really sound advice. Same thing with Don Prime and Nate at Geekin Out. They got some really, really, really good stuff. And shout out to Dante from the Man of Hot Collectibles. Mm-hmm. We couldn't do the stream yesterday because of all the thunderstorms and everything over here, and the power going in and out, so couldn't make it happen. But I will be back live with the panel this coming Friday at 9 p.m. So go ahead and book that on your calendars for sure. Remember, I don't always buy coffee out or a spotchka, but when I do, I buy from 6 Scale Cantina. Stay thirsty, my friends. Had a lot of fun. See you soon.
Later, folks.